You've noted here that trying to get Stephen Alexander off the committee is a complete fabrication.
That is just really, really, really.
Is that not in? Is that not in the minutes of?
No. Good. What?
It's in the minutes, is it not? Yeah, it's in the minutes.
It's in the minutes. Someone's nodding their head vociferously.
Yes, and I've seen it in the minutes.
He has the minutes. They are in the minutes.
They are in the minutes.
What was the wording, though?
Sorry, I should have printed out.
I know that Stephen is spread very, very, very thin, and it may have been probably more a delegation issue than it is the way it.
But you see, that's
reads.
raising red flags among the people that
I can tell you
that have concerns.
Stephen Alexander is a major asset to the entire city because he sits on all the committees.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you get committees that work independently and there's no common thread to it. Stephen is important because he is that common thread.
Would you have been at the meeting where they asked Stephen to step aside?
Have you missed any meetings?
Well, I'm sure I've missed meetings over the few years, yeah.
Okay.
I don't recall exactly. What was I?
It was brought up by Denny Thibault.
Yeah, but Denny Thibault? Well, you'd have to ask Denny then. No, because he's an integral part of the Waterfront Committee. You know, you can't get a resource. You can't find another resource to help the committee, such as Stephen.
Yeah, well, that's what I found strange.
Mind you, there are some other people in the planning department that if he chooses, he can delegate to. And at some point in time, he's going to retire. So somebody's going to be replacing him. No, he's a major asset, and everybody on the committee here just loves working with him.
Okay, so no plans to retire him early.
No.
You talked about the public
We depend on him a lot.
Okay.
Especially as a vice chair. Like tonight, I depended on him a lot. He's very important.
You guys were talking about the public consultation. Today we had a letter to the editor complaining about the e-bike consultation. Would your committee or yourself, since you can only speak for yourself right now, be adverse to having the question be on the next municipal ballot as a public referendum?
I can't comment on that. I don't know enough about it. I'd have to research it.
Okay.
Okay, so just to kind of recap, where exactly are you heading with this subcommittee, and what's its goal, and what do you expect to get back from it?
Well, you saw at the last municipal council meeting, the big uproar was, are we going to have enough consultation? So we're going to make sure, darn sure, that we're going to have a lot of consultation, a lot of different ways, a lot of visuals to satisfy those needs, and to make sure that nobody comes back and says, well, the consultation was insufficient. That's not going to happen. And the subcommittee's mission is to make sure that that doesn't happen.
And and I don't know, I myself, I've seen it out there, the condo idea, people talking condos. They'll said at the table here tonight that maybe it was a bad idea talking about condos from the outset.
I don't recall that in the initial submission myself.
I didn't see it anywhere in our documentation, but it was all the talk after the council meeting. So I don't know if that was because something that was said at council.
That was an immediate knee-jerk reaction. I think what happens is, and I've been thinking about that as well, when you look at the park and you look at where the needs are for whatnot, it's something that comes to mind. So you can tell that it's a possibility. But I don't, as a matter of fact, I don't develop structures of that magnitude. That's not our field.
No,
I'm a single family home
builder.
builder.
You're a home builder, yeah.
But I talk to people who develop larger structures. And this is probably going to be difficult. Because Cornwall, I found from even speaking with John Markle, that there's a market for things. There's a market for everything, but it's a very small market in some cases.
Yeah.
That's why I think there's a possibility that it may come back as a multi-use building.
Well, we're sorely, and that's just my opinion, but we're sorely in need of commercial development or some retail or something to get people down to the waterfront. Or do you think?
Well, you could tell.
Like you could walk around the park, but
it's a seasonal park in the sense that you could tell, apart from the little festivities that we had last weekend.
Well, nothing was open last weekend.
No, but they had Family Day.
Yeah,
but there's nothing down there if you're down there.
No, I know that. That's what I'm saying. Is it doesn't have that year-round vibrancy. In order to have year-round vibrancy, you need that proper balance.
Yeah.
And you can find out from looking at other municipalities who got it and who didn't. And Roy Perkins mentioned that Brockville basically didn't get it.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, yeah, that's right, because I've heard some people tell me I love going to Brockville. So it's a very subjective thing.
Well, I've covered. Brockville has an aquarium going in on its waterfront. They have boat docks. They have a hotel on their waterfront.
Yeah, I know that. The hotel, I remember all this history behind the hotel. But he was talking about available parkland.
Yeah.
Cornwall's very, very lucky. But the problem with parkland is you can't get any additional taxes out of the system.
Well, you also don't use
don't
it
have additional tax
365 days of the year.
No. And it's strange that where can one person go for a coffee or a beverage or a meal on the waterfront in the city of Cornwall?
Nowhere.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
No.
That's a sad reality.
And that's the thing with Brockville, is it's, you go down there anytime and it's,
Yeah.
I've been
It's
to
hopping.
I've
It's
been to
pleasant.
Riverfest and it was
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a low blow criticizing Brockville's waterfront when they've got
Maybe
so
not-
much development
I
there.
think it was probably not meant as a criticism, more to boast what we have.
What we have.
Okay.
I think that was the intent behind that.
Because you walk along there, and I remember walking along the main drag, and all of a sudden you kind of, hey, what's this? And it's
Yeah.
a little postage stamp size
Well, I just
park. It's like, okay, well, they got the...
Yeah, I just did a story
park,
on
you
the
know.
Brockville waterfront during the fall, and there was a lot of stuff going on.
There's
And
some other municipalities though, that have really ruined it.
Yeah.
The public doesn't have access to it. And that's what it is. We're very, very proud of our waterfront, so the access is a really, really key thing. And that's why the concept of the ribbon is going to be defined.
Yeah.
And the concept of the ribbon came forward as I was reading all the reactions and seeing all the knee-jerk reactions and all the inaccuracies that came out on the press. And some of it's natural.
Which press had inaccuracies?
Well, I don't know which ones. I don't want to be specific, but I'll tell you what I've read that was inaccurate.
What was inaccurate?
First of all, expressions such as condominium project in Lamoureux Park. A, we're not talking about necessarily a condominium project, and second of all, we just talked about it, it's not in Lamoureux Park. The second thing, develop the downtown waterfront parkland. The parking lot is not part of the parkland. Second thing. Third thing, condo will encroach on our parkland and deny our residents full access. That location doesn't have any effect on access.
It has
Again,
access to
the word
parking.
condo.
Yeah.
But
No, but it doesn't. They would.
can you...
That could never, something like that would not happen because access is a primary driver behind the committee.
But doesn't
aren't these concerns voiced by the public? And don't you have to be able to dialogue with the public if you're going to be able to develop the park? Like, can you be dismissive of criticism
No,
and still move forward?
I think what it just brings out is it's touching a nerve, and there's a reason I mentioned why it should, because it's our biggest asset. So anytime somebody touches or sees a perceived threat to our biggest asset, there's going to be a reaction.
Because
there
you're-
always has been.
Because you're a public committee.
Yeah.
This is public land.
Right.
Taxpayers pay
Yeah,
their
yeah.
dollars
And everybody's
to
got
City
their-
Hall.
and the media can only report the information that we are exposed to from your committee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I heard Eric say that maybe they kind of came out with it too fast or the wrong way. Well,
I don't recall the word condo being into the initial submission.
But I think
I could look it up, but I don't think it was.
But I think a lot of people were kind of blindsided, maybe by the proposal, whereas it had been kind of, I don't know. I realize you guys don't have a press agency, you're not press professionals, but if it was kind of rolled out in a softer manner, maybe.
Well, who knows? I mean, this is obviously not something that comes up very often in the city of Cornwall,
No.
and it's a fairly new group.
Well, you remember what happened with the whole casino hotel project? You must have been here at the
talking
time.
about is that way back?
That
with
was way back.
Mr. Edwardson's project.
That was way back, and boy, oh boy, people almost died over that, I think.
What I remember is at council, it was rolled out, and I don't remember the word condo being used, but the reaction, the knee-jerk reaction from a few councillors was immediately, oh, no condos in our park. First of all, it wasn't a condo necessarily, and second of all, it's not in the park. It's in the parking lot. So I think when that gets quoted the next day, then all of a sudden it takes a life of its own.
Isn't the parking lot in the park, though?
No.
Oh, okay.
The park is east of the complex.
Wouldn't the public's perception, though?
West of the
west of the
complex.
complex.
But wouldn't the public's perception of the parking lot be in Lamoureux Park?
It's all paving surface. You consider that a park?
Just the parking lot of the park.
Then you're looking into semantics.
Yeah, because when you go to the park, that's where you park.
All the way at that end? I don't. Do you?
Depends which part of the park you're going to.
If you're going to the marina.
No, if you're
Yeah.
going east of the complex, do you
Right.
park all the way to the marina?
No.
No.
But I guess you can see how hung up people can get over
Oh, yeah.
just something
And-
like
and-
that.
And it's natural. It was expected. It was expected more by some members than others. Those of us who were on the previous committee were expecting a lot of reaction.
If you're
And I've come to like I said, I've come to the conclusion that it's normal to have that level of reaction.
If you're a conspiracy theorist, one would almost suggest these guys were set up.
No.
Really?
Not gonna.
I like the smile.
In a sense, it's an opportunity to make lemonade out of lemons. We saw the reaction.
Yeah.
So I think what that tells us is, if we're going to propose anything, let's cross our T's and dots our I's before anything's verbalized.
Yeah.
In the same way that you mentioned earlier that you see a lot of large organizations that have, well, we did have a press release, but a lot of times they don't want to speak to the press. They just want the press to regurgitate exactly what's in the press release with no modifications whatsoever. I know that when I represented the Builders Association, that's what we had to do. Because every time they would call us and we'd say one thing, something very different was published the next day. I saw John Markle earlier, and I joked around with him and I said, so I heard that you're, I forget it is, you think that it's the same vantage point from Cy Miller Arena than it is from the complex. You know, from I said that? I don't recall saying that. And I said, and I beg to differ, because if you go take two shots from those two locations, they're two different shots.
Yeah.
One of them is predominantly waterfront view.
Yeah.
The other one is predominantly parkland view.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah.
I even
Yeah,
went
for
out
sure.
and took shoe shots.
Yeah.
I went into 55 Water Street, and
Yeah.
I took a shot from the second floor. Then I went to the complex, and I took another shot. And
Okay,
they're two different vantage points.
That's the other thing too, is it's kind of hard to sell something that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
To
And
sell,
again,
to sell an idea, I mean, you know.
yeah. And again, nothing may come out of it, but I think the positive thing that will come out of this is a lot of discussion. And I think this open house and this exchange is very, very healthy for our city. Because yes, we do need at some point some smart development to increase the tax base. Because the more important problem that I, as a builder,
Yeah.
okay, and as a citizen, I find one of the biggest issues at the negative end is our property taxes vis-a-vis our two neighbors.
Yeah.
Not necessarily vis-a-vis Kingston, Brockville, or Belleville,
No.
but compared to our two neighbors, we have a big problem. And as a home builder of upscale, medium, and upscale homes, we see the majority of our work going into two townships. That's a big problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anything to increase the tax base is good.
Yeah.
And we have an opportunity right here.
One other thing, and it's been very difficult for me to try to talk to people about this. For one, you're saying you need to get your message out and you want the accuracy and everything. But I sit down and talk to one of your committee members, off the record. I graciously agree, and I get a phone call 2 days later threatening in a way to sue.
What?
For basically saying that if you write the wrong thing in the story, you're going to be sued, and I sue people before. Is that the kind of way you want your committee to operate?
I have never heard of anything like that around this
That was
table.
Michel Dubuc.
Yeah, you'd have to ask Michel that question. He's never voiced anything like this in the committee that I know of.
Okay, because once again, it gives the impression that there's something to hide there.
No. Initially, it was a new committee, and we had to get to know each other. We had to get on the same page. And it took a while, because a lot of the new members were not familiar with the waterfront plan.
Yeah.
A lot of the new members were not familiar with, everything that we're out to do.
If you as vice chair found out that one of your committee members was using, I think the term, Greg, is libel chill, was threatening a journalist with a suit about stuff related to your committee, how would you deal with that?
Well, the way that we were supposed to deal with it is anything has to go through the chair, and in the absence of the chair, the vice chair.
Right.
So I would consider that inappropriate.
Okay.
Okay.
Because in other words, it's not considered and not acknowledged by the Waterfront Committee unless it comes out from the chair. And in the absence of the chair, the vice chair.
Would that be, if that was proven to be accurate, would that be grounds for removal from the committee? If that happened?
I'm the vice chair. I'm not a lawyer, and
Yeah.
I'm not the one who decides that kind of protocol.
But it's not something you would sanction? Chilling the media if they're reporting on waterfront development?
Actually, this is a brand new topic for me. I can't comment on it.
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
never encountered that.
Okay, well, I appreciate it.
It's not my style, anyways.
No, well, obviously you're talking to us here now.
It's not most people's style.
No, I know that.
No.
And I think the main thing is main thing that I ask is to take the information the way it was presented and reflect it the same way. And please don't put an unfair twist on it so that if I read it, I say, well, I really didn't say that, or at least I didn't mean to say that. because it'll be the first and last time.
Yeah. But that's why it's important that we develop
Yeah.
a relationship to talk to you to get, because you need to get your message out. And how do you get the most efficient way is through the media, through us.
That's why we use unedited video, so that people, if we start editing, then people can say, we played, and this way we don't play. Thank you.
No, you're
Thank you.